guys, and thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Indiana Sports Connection. So today we're going to talk about the hose job that was the Colts game yesterday. Absolutely awful. I mean, a 10-foot man maybe could have caught that pass in the back of the end zone. It's absolute rubbish. I don't think the game is fixed, but I think these referees are just awful, and something like that needs to be able to be reviewed because you shouldn't be able to lose a game like that. All that coming up on this episode of Indiana Sports Connection and more. We'll talk a little bit about the Indiana Hoosiers and a little bit about Mbako getting arrested, but we're just going to talk. A lot of this might be me ranting about the Colts. So let's thank our sponsor, Reynolds Wrap. Reynolds Wrap, for 75 years, has provided families and households with aluminum foil that saves you time and cleanup in the kitchen. Reynolds Wrap Everyday Foil has so many uses. Use it to make steamer bags. Use it to cover pans. Use it to save time on cleanup on your grill and pans and all over the kitchen. And you can simply just wad this stuff up and throw it in the trash can and get back to watching the big game faster this Sunday by using Reynolds Wrap during halftime. Get back to watching the Colts. Thank you to Reynolds Wrap for sponsoring this video. All right, so let's talk about what happened in the Colts game. I'm not going to talk about all the bad things. I thought coming into this game it was going to be very low scoring. That can really show you why the NFL is so popular and why it is what it is. We come into this game with two backup quarterbacks. Although, when I made the video last week, I put the wrong title on the video. I said Colts negative 2.5%. See, I said after, my main point of that video was after DeShaun Watson's press conference, the line changed and he started in this game. Now, let's talk a little bit about what is going on with DeShaun Watson. I think mentally, DeShaun Watson is like dealing with kind of mentally what the same thing that Tiger Woods dealt with. You have all of this negative press coming out and coming out. Who knows what kinds of things people are saying to him at the stadiums and these types of things. I don't know what he did. I've heard kind of what he did. Partially, it's not like he's not a rapist, but whatever he was doing was not. It was just not kosher. He is just very troubled. You can tell. I mean, he was 1 for 5 for 5 yards in the game. I don't know if he was injured during the game, but he stood on the sideline and didn't come back in. And it seemed like something, just whether he was just sitting out for fun or what, but something's going on with that guy, and he's not very good. And the Browns are not going to go to a Super Bowl with DeShaun Watson as their quarterback, because something weird is going on with him. So, well, Gardner Minshew, the turnovers that the Colts had really came back to bite them right in the ass. Man, the Browns got 17 points off of turnovers. Everything in the game came down to that. The Browns capitalized on the turnovers, and the Colts couldn't. Besides that, the Colts moved the ball on the Browns. That Browns defense was not near as good as what we thought it was going to be. They are just so overrated. They're pretty much like Myles Garrett and the 10 Stooges, in my opinion. They got one superhuman player that makes unbelievable, like otherworldly plays. Like what he did on that pump block was absolutely astonishing. That he jumped over that line like a Ninja Turtle and just grabbed the ball out of the air. That was just absolutely fantastic. You'll never see somebody do something like that very often in your lifetime. So I did not think the Browns defense was all that great. The Colts just straight up ran the ball. Taylor had 18 runs, and Moss had 18 runs. So Taylor had 75 yards on those 18 runs. He had a pretty decent game. Minshew, just the two fumbles really cost the Colts big time. I don't want to bash too much on Minshew because he played really one hell of a game. The best game he's ever played as a Colt, and ran the ball in. That's why I think the Browns defense is just a bunch of stooges, though. I mean, you got Minshew faking guys out around the goal line and prancing into the end zone. I mean, there was some bad plays by that Browns defense. Bright spots, Alec Pierce had a few catches for, I think, about 50 yards. Good to see him get in there, get a few catches, and get a little bit more confidence. I'm telling you, everybody, that Jerry Jeudy, the more research I did on him, we're better off with Alec Pierce. I mean, this guy is a perennial, is from a really good family, and hopefully he just figures out. You know, sometimes as fans, we don't know what these guys go through injury-wise from week to week. So he's in his second year. Yeah, he's been a little bit disappointing, but hey, he's still pretty young, and he's still in that mode where he's trying to figure it out. And good to see him get a few catches in the game. But the guy, Josh Downs, this guy is my favorite player in a Colts uniform this year. This guy, I have been saying for years and years that the Colts need a quick little receiver. I mean, I remember the years with like Brandon Stokely really is the one that comes to mind the most. But, you know, Wes Welker that played for the Patriots, and practically across the NFL, many other teams always have one of these guys on their team, whether it's like the guy on the Bills or there's just like these little receivers, and Downs is that guy. That's all I can say. They found their guy. This guy, he's just so small and shifty. When he comes across the middle, he stops on a dime and then goes in the other direction. I love to watch this guy play. I love to watch him catch the ball. He is a star in the making for the Colts, and I just love the way how he's come in and been so aggressive and just really I don't know what he's doing, but he's got to keep it up. He's got to keep it up. He gets open across the middle, and the Colts need that big time. Oh, sorry. Oh, my nose is itching so bad. It's allergy season. I don't think it's allergy season, but it's just a lot of leaves coming down right now or something. But I'm not going to go on and on, but those plays at the end of the game were absolutely atrocious. It's just how those calls can be made. The first call on the fumble that DeForest Buckner, you think game over right there. The NFL referees pick on certain players. Like, there are certain players in the NFL that if they do a slight grab or a slight this or a slight that, it never gets called. And then there are other players in the NFL, if you're a younger guy or the referees just don't know who you are, Baker being the guy from the Colts that was benched for a couple of weeks for his bad play and then came back, and then it's almost just like, we're going to throw a flag no matter what. We're going to, the Browns went right at that guy almost like they knew. I see why people are saying that they thought the game was rigged, because the Browns only threw to Amari Cooper one time. And then in that last drive, it's like they targeted Baker just over and over and over again on Amari Cooper. And then the flag started flying. Like, yeah, we know this guy's not very good. You should throw a flag because he's not a very good corner. He didn't do anything. Even the announcers were saying on that last pass interference that it wasn't even pass interference. If you go back and watch it, there's just like some hand fighting. The ball was like about 5 feet, 6 feet. I mean, at least landed out of the back of the end zone. I mean, you'd have to be a 10-foot tall man to catch that ball. It was atrocious. I don't know what to say. All we can say, Colts fans, stay positive going forward, because this is one of the hardest games that we had on our schedule through the last 12 weeks. Going forward, there's only like 2 or 3 teams we play, I believe, that will be favored over the Colts. So we have a really weak schedule. It would have been really nice to get that game. Colts put some points on the board and were really fun to watch yesterday. Pittman with the long run. So many great plays in the game. I'm really just doing kind of a raw reaction today to what happened on the final plays. And I want to talk a little bit about the clock management. And normally I just don't want to get on Steichen too bad because he is a, first-time coach. But the clock management at the end of the first half was abysmal. How they ended up coming away with 10 points where we should have really been able to run the ball and run the clock out and get out of that half without them scoring or them just getting 3 points at the most, and they ended up getting 10 in like the last few minutes of the first half. A lot of people calling into the Greg Rakestrong show that we're talking about that, and I wanted to point that out as well because that really stuck out to me. Just bad clock management at the end of the first half kind of cost us a little bit of points there, but in the end we get hosed by the referees. But there couldn't be any more of a hose job. I'm trying to transition to talking about the Indiana Hoosiers football team. Got absolutely shellacked by Rutgers. We stink. Indiana Hoosiers football team is just so awful. I watched some of the first and second half, and they're just really, really, really bad. And once again, Tom Allen, and I said this week one, you got to pick one quarterback to be on this team. And I heard Kent Sterling say this earlier this morning. I think if you ask Tom Allen, neither one of them are very good at quarterback. They both stink. I don't know. I mean, I've heard rumors that like Donovan McCulley might start at quarterback, but I feel sorry for those Indiana Hoosiers because they will be traveling to Penn State to get a complete ass whooping at the hands of Penn State because they lost to Ohio State this last weekend. They're going to come into this game against Indiana and be so pissed off. They're just going to tear Indiana apart. It's going to be a bloodbath, my friends. So I don't know if they fly there or they drive there. They probably fly there. But yeah, that is going to be an awful game to watch. So Colts just was a really tough game to watch for the Colts. And the whole time, I mean, the Colts really won the game. I felt good about everything I was watching out there, except for a few things like where Minshew turned it over a few times. And we had some turnovers as well, but just wasn't enough. One thing I do want to point out, the Kenny Moore, like I hate this in the NFL that it's there's got to be something where if you possess the ball for long enough, because it seemed like Kenny Moore on that interception, he possessed the ball for a long time. And then like as he's hitting the ground, it's like a piece of the ball like just poked out and hit the ground. It seemed like a catch to me. I'm telling you, it's like the NFL has taken, it's like 25% of plays that are being made on the field, and then going back and watching these replays, it's like, okay, like a broad part of the ball touched the ground when he landed on the ground. I just don't know. It just seems like sometimes these catches, they look like catches to me. What did you think? Subscribe to the channel if it's your first time here and you like these videos, and leave me a comment down below. Tell me what you think about the Colts game on Sunday. I mean, I'm super disappointed. I don't want to keep ranting on about the referees because there's nothing we can do about it now. We have 11 games left, and we are going to be favored in a lot of these games, and we play some really crap teams coming up in the next few weeks. We got Panthers coming up. We got Patriots coming up. We have just terrible teams coming up on our schedule, so we can win some of those games. We can stick around 500 and have a chance to get in the playoffs. It is absolutely possible. The Colts division is absolutely awful, so we'll talk about more of that tomorrow. Colts got hosed. Stay positive out there, Colts fans. You know what? At least we don't have to watch, nothing. You know, I was going to say, at least we don't have Taylor Swift showing up to our games, you know, and we look like awful. But Colts, I don't have anything else to say for today. I'm going to watch the game again and watch more of the line play and everything like that, and like do a winners and loser video for tomorrow. We'll talk about some of the bright spots for the Colts and what they can do going into these next games to start getting some W's. So thank you so much for subscribing to the channel, giving this video a thumbs up, and until next time, stay classy out there, Colts fans.